they're going to come into agreement right away, and a look is just a look. Okay, I'll get into this whole thing about, when things start to line up, then guess what? Slack will come, everything's fine. See, everything moves forward. That's the thing to understand. This is based on the current state of relationship. You're dealing with a stinking thinking situation, unhealthy thinking with the dog. It'd be like a selfish child who doesn't have good thinking. It's all about them. They walk in, they say they're addicted to video games. They can't walk into a place without being drawn to that. Like, if you pay attention, they don't have good focus. Right? So dogs are holding high level of control. Guess what? Everything becomes a supply source. You'll see it. Their head will be pivoting, they're investing, they're fixating, they're expressing. And so that baseline, what that does is kind of preempts, okay? It allows you to engage, to shift the focus. And then what that does is you're working off that baseline to break that connection, okay? So I'm already at the baseline level with the dog. I just have to go up a little bit off of it. I'm working off of that control. It's already there. I'm working off of it, and you'll see it when the dog, when that baseline increases to a level where it corresponds, it intercepts the dog. It's kinetic now. This is a kinetic principle. Okay, I'm not jerking the dog, because here's the problem. You could be correcting or jerking on the dog, even nudging. A dog that's really highly reactive or invested will blow through that. Okay, think about what I'm saying. They'll blow through it. But the kinetic principle, they can't. Okay, this is what makes a system of training special. Okay, they can't blow through it, right? So it draws it into a power play situation. But kinetically, I'm going up, I'm breaking that, and the dog, there'll be like a little mini earthquake. You'll see it. The dog will come into agreement, and then guess what I'm doing then? Then I'm working down. I'm giving. I'm taking it down. So it's not meant to create conflict. The dog understands fully, because we're having a conversation that the dog understands. The dog may not like it, but it doesn't create the conflict where the dog is typically trying to bite me. I've only been bitten one time in over 30 years, okay? And doing it right, okay? Because it gives you that insight. And so the ability to work with certain dogs, because understand, no matter what all these trainers are saying, this is where you end up over here, okay, with all these situations. This system of training, I'm not saying it's easy, this can be, but when you dial into what control and influence their roles in the system, you're going deeper, okay, the dog's state of mind. So the baseline issue, understand, so when you watch my videos, understand that, and here's the other thing, when I'm working with some dogs, there's a high level of stress on that dog, typically, some of these dogs. And so the stress reactions will be there. And what I'm doing is there is still accommodation where you'll see me stopping. I'm still maintaining a level of influence and control, because to give that dog, comfort, believe it or not, taking stress off that dog, because it is a working through. It's almost a type of rehab with these dogs. And so, but I'm slowing down because there still has to be a working through. It'd be like going into a child's bedroom and just ripping all the, the gaming system, taking the cords out and just having, just being really, no, it's like going and have a conversation. Okay, so this is a conversation. It still represents a power play. It has to be taken to a power play level to affect perception of dogs to change. But again, that's where it needs to go. So again, it's about coming into agreement. So there's the agreement side of things. But understand that when you see I'm lowering down, there's certain points, and it's very subtle. So even on the video, you'll be watching the video. If you watch really carefully, you'll see there's points where you're giving. It's like the dog gives, you give. There has to be that, right? Otherwise, there will be undue conflict. Okay, the dog's going to go into fight mode. Okay, my dogs don't do that typically. And if I have to have a muzzle on the dog, that's temporary. So everything moves forward. So that's why people wonder, why does Dale have control that way over a dog? Okay, there's many reasons for that, but understand it's about being dialed into the dog's stinking thinking, and forcing the cards on the table, and even taking the stress off the dog, believe it or not. So even when I'm doing, if you see me doing the circle method, you'll see, and this is one of the things to look for, is the dog's head will turn inwards towards me, and for that contact. And people say, why would a dog want to be hit? No, it's you're taking stress, the dog's feeling good, taking stress off the dog. So it's not the contact that way where it represents abuse or anything like that. Okay, it's about connection. It's about being in sync with the dog. So again, one of the big themes here, again, so I talk about, and this was what, again, what makes this system of training, is getting specific about the role of influence. You know, intercepting an expressed state versus, I put here, changing focus, okay? So a lot of trainers want to use treats and they want to try to change the focus of the dog. But again, the example I use is be like a child who is mouthing off at a parent, and out of nowhere the parent takes a chocolate bar out of their back pocket and holds it to the side, and the child's like, what they're focused on mouthing off, it shifts their focus, like, I want the chocolate bar. So understand that when you hear language out there like rewarding bad behavior to create good behavior, okay, narratives like that coming out of the balanced dog training community, okay, it's based on this misunderstanding as to the role of influence, okay? So you get this issue about change in focus, okay, be aware that, yes, you've changed focus, but you have to understand the role of influence to actually intercept an expressed state, okay, for perceptions to actually change. Okay, that's absolutely critical when it comes to change. Now, again, talk about, again, certain type of conversation. That's how you want to see these interactions themselves, okay, as a type of conversation you're having with your dog. Dog understands intent. I go through all of that. And, understand that, again, one of the big focus I talk about a motivator, the relationship is the motivator. So that's basically all. This is like a crash course here a little bit. There's a lot more to, I'm covering the main points here. There's stuff I can continue to talk about, and I'll do that at a certain point. But here's the thing is, I want to try to clear up some of the misconceptions. People see, what's happening. Understand I'm dialed into the relationship differently, okay, in a good way. It's about understanding your role, the role of influence and control, but it's within the parameters of what's reasonable, but what's going to create change. Okay, it has to go to a power play level, just like parent-child relationships. It's going to go to a power play level. Okay, if you're moving from one parenting style to another. Okay, but again, consider when you're talking about, and here's the other thing, and I want to mention this too about certain devices. So certain devices like gentle leaders, okay? Be aware of certain devices that will, again, elicit control over the dog. Again, just like the prong collar, you get a better physical position, but always consider whatever device you're using, whether or not you can intercept. You want to get that level, because this is what it's about. This is really important. I'm going to advocate the stinking thinking part. Okay, those express states. You need to be intercepting those. And typically, because it's proactive, it takes the form of a nudge. Or kinetically, working off the baseline with some dogs. Okay, it just depends, but it depends on the dogs I'm working with at the time. And I'll switch it back and forth. So typically the two devices I'm using is the standard flat collar and a choke chain. But again, it's about being dialed in the right way. That's really important. So if you have any questions, you can ask and contact me. I would really encourage you, considering everything, if you really are wanting to get this, this is basically to give you some of the main themes here, is check out my website, caninepack.com. I have courses, I have online courses that cover a lot of this. To be a trainer of this system, there's a lot. Understand that when you're here for a week, if you decide to be a trainer of the system, you're here for a week with me. We're not getting into all this stuff on social media and all this controversy. There's a lot of ground to cover here. There's a lot of stuff to cover. I go through all this stuff in great detail, and there's a lot of stuff to dial you into. So there's a lot. This isn't just some people will label a system as compulsion or force. They have no idea, because they're not dialed into any of this. So a lot of critical thinking went into this system. Understand that. A lot of critical thinking. And so there's a lot to it. So trainers out there, some of these trainers that go on about stuff, they haven't even made it out of the starting gate yet. They need to ask the questions. And then you have to break all this down and say, okay, what is really, at work when it comes to relationship change with dogs. So thanks for watching. Hope you have a great day.